evening. Nice to hear some interesting stories, and finally it's my time to share some kind of embarrassing stories. I'm very happy that my sibling is not here, otherwise she would have killed me. I mean, I just told her that, something of this kind I'm just going to go and on a platform share with around 50 odd people, and she's like, trust me, I'm not there, otherwise you would be dead. So yes, when you think about the word sibling, what strikes your mind? It's just like the tons of fights, the tons of emotions, the tons of good memories you've had. And I guess there's been a lot of trades-off between, having fighting and a kind of truce between your siblings. So that's what has been my relationship with my sibling back in India. So I'm originally from India, as Ben introduced. I have moved here 2 months back to DC, and I'm part of a fellowship here, which is a US state government-sponsored program, serving at American Red Cross. And my journey has now started in Washington, 8,900 miles away from my country, from my family, from my siblings. Quite an emotional roller coaster ride, but yes, meeting new people, it has been fantastic so far. And right now I'm like, just being nostalgic, remembering all those good memories that I've had with my sisters. So yes, in India, I come from a joint family, and by joint family precisely, I can let you know that you live with your parents, of course, and you also live with your parents' parents, that's your grandfather and your grandma. And you also live with your parents' brothers, and parents' brothers' wives, and of course their children. So that's the concept of a joint family. And I lived in a family with around 25 members. It was, kind of crazy, maniac place, but that's how it was. 25 members with over 9 cousins. So you can imagine the different stories I've had, the different adventures that I've had with them. And if I sit to tell you all the adventures of all my cousins, I would need hours and hours of all those fantastic experiences. And actually these cousins, we've just had our backs for each other. Imagine somebody sneaking out in the night, and with so many elders in the same house, we would have an elaborate plan to sneak out. And it was no less than breaking a prison, just laying out the tactile layout. Hey, somebody's sleeping there. Oh, somebody's down up there. You should make noise. So it was as crazy as that. But yes, as I tell you, that it's just experience of one of its kind, and you just cannot forget about all those things. So now going back to my sibling, so she's my younger sister. She's just a year younger to me, but to begin with, when my parents got her the very first day from the hospital, I was like, oh my God, who's here? It's just like I thought that I'd be cared less, because obviously now you have competition around. And I kind of thought of like, how about sibling-side? But I know it's very, very wild to think about right now that, oh my God, sibling-side, no man, that's not happening. I would often mock her. In India it's a very common practice for your siblings to say, you know what? Our parents brought you from the garbage. You were not actually born. We just found you lying in a pile of garbage, and our parents just picked you up from there. So that's like the common standard statements you use for your young siblings. But jokes apart, I'll just begin with the most bizarre story, which we still laugh when we are with all our family members around over dinner time. So we were around 2 or 3 years old, and in our family, our parents usually put us to bed while reading out a story. So this is like there in my family. I don't know about the rest, but this was there common in my family. And our parents took turns, like no gender biasness, like both my parents took the responsibility of reading us to bed every night. And one night my mom read out the story of Princess and the Frog. And believe me, what happened the next day. It was rainy season for us. And my sister, because my dad addressed my younger sibling as Princess, she thought that she was actually a princess, and she picked up 2 frogs from a garden into her pockets, and she came back home with the expectation that, hey, I'm going to perform a magic tonight. I'm going to kiss the frogs, Mom? And my grandmom in one of the corners, she's screaming, she's blowing her lungs out. My mom in the other corner, she's like white and scared. She's like, what the hell is my daughter up to? Nobody could muster the courage to actually come up and throw the frogs out. But ultimately, it had to just like be thrown away, and my sister's bubble bursted that she's not the princess, actual princess. And till today, she's still in hunt for her prince. Thankfully, not from a frog, but the right human being, and not a frog to be kissed into a prince. Never mind, so that's one of the bizarre stories. The second, and I was not part of that plan because I cannot stand frogs. I'm sorry, I cannot. The second lovely story is where I was equally involved, though I did have a narrow escape and I was like, hey mom, I'm not involved here. Is like we conspired to kidnap our neighbor's dog. Yes, I know, it's not the best thing to hear, but it did happen. I mean, our grandmom, she was so dead against having pets at home. No dogs, no cats, not even birds. I mean, no even fishes in the aquarium. So we were like, okay, fine, if this is not happening in the straight way, we should have some alternates to it. So we started saving our pocket monies, and I was also equally contributing to this plan with my sister. We saved onto our pocket money to buy some chocolates, some treats for the dogs, so that we could just lay the bait and the dog would be venturing into our homes. Finally, the day came. We did that, the dog was there, and my sister, she was so naive. Like, she had that confidence in me that, I'd be living with the dog under the bed throughout her life, and my sister would be sneaking food from the table, and she would have the entire life living peacefully with the dog under the bed. How naive she was, and we were just 4 and 5. So obviously the first night the dog is there, the neighbors did not, I don't remember much, but what I remember, what we hear often from my parents, is like my sister is with the dog under the bed, and in the night, this dog starts to whimper. First it's whimpering, then it's crying, and ultimately the dog is howling. And it's literally howling. And my entire family is there in the room, looking under the bed, and my sister and the dog is happily just trying to sneak inside and save themselves. And we are dead. Just imagine a joint family and the number of spanks both of us got for our deed. That's just, the memory ends there, and I don't have much to recall about that. But yes, over course of time, these are our childhood memories, and obviously we matured, we got the realities of life, and now both of us are in different parts of the world. I'm here doing my fellowship, she's back in India. She also works with Government of India, she's a diplomat there. And I'll say that earlier, which I took a lot of pride in myself, that I am the elder one, I am the backbone of the family, I am more, more confident, I am the one who's more mature, but it's got kind of reversed. She has more cerebral capacity right now to deal situations, whereas I am the one who's a crybaby at times. So the roles have reversed right now. Then there's one more thing which I wanted to share with you guys. So there is a festival in India called the Raksha Bandhan, which is basically it's a Sanskrit terminology, which is tying a bond of trust and love by the sisters on the wrist of brothers. So obviously, because we didn't have our own brother, and my sister was often telling my mom, hey, mom, this is not right. Why only brothers and sisters? So breaking the patriarchy, breaking all those things in the family, both of us tie that Raksha Bandhan on each other's wrist of us, breaking things, and celebrating that festival for over now 10 years now. People do look up to us that, we have shattered that patriarchy in India, and we're just doing 2 girls practicing and celebrating that festival. And this festival is very synonymous to the Friendship Day, you have the bands, you put the bands on your friends' arms. Brothers and sisters do that in India. So yes, it's now 2 sisters doing that festival, celebrating that, and we take a lot of pride in that and doing of those kind. As Ben was saying, that there are emotions of selfishness, there is emotions of guilt. I'm very new here in this state, but over course of time when I'll be here, I'm definitely going to experience those things when I'll be missing my family occasions and doing different things, and when I'll be also virtually connecting to them. But yes, here it is. And lastly, obviously my sister is not here, but I do want to thank her for instilling that kind of confidence and pushing me to just leave the country and come and pursue, whereas she's there to take care of our parents who are obviously aging right now, and putting that confidence in me that, hey, in your absence, I'm there to take care of things and you don't have to worry. So that's how my love with my sibling has just grown, matured, and from sibling side to is some other kind of emotions which is so difficult to explain. Thank you so much.